What if the scariest horror movie ever made is the one that makes legends stop trying? Welcome back to The Final Cut, your daily pulse in horror. I'm Travis, and today we're talking about a horror film so effective it's shutting down ambition, a controversial reboot that's already dividing critics, and a new Mummy film that's got bigger and longer than expected. Let's get into it. Legendary filmmaker Steven Spielberg is making headlines, and not for one of his own films. In a new interview with Empire, Spielberg praised Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2, calling it one of his favorite sci-fi films of all time, and possibly Villeneuve's best work. But here's where it crosses into horror. Spielberg also singled out Zach Cregger's film's Weapons and said something that has the entire genre paying attention. He admitted that watching Weapons was so effective, it actually killed his desire to make a horror film. Let that sit for a second. This is the same director behind Jaws and Jurassic Park, films that define fear for generations, and now he's saying modern horror has already reached a level that satisfies him completely. At the same time, Spielberg is preparing his next film, Disclosure Day, starring Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, Coleman Domingo, and Eve Hewson. And it's written by David Koepp. That hits theaters June 12th. My question for you guys, though, if horror is already this effective, how much further can it really go? Let me know your answers in the comments ahead. Folks, if you're building your horror collection, Grove has some serious drops coming. Pre-order Day of the Dead on 4K Ultra HD, available June 16th. Classic B-movie Slither lands June 23rd. Pre-order now. And the classic Them hits 4K Ultra HD and Blu-ray June 16th. If you care about physical media, don't wait on these, and don't wait to try out Grove. Now back to the show. Let's talk about a film that's already making people uncomfortable, and that's kind of the point. Now let me jump back also and be a little bit more personable with this and say one of the first horror films that was the must-have horror film for my youth growing up that you had to pretty much steal from somebody's house if you found it on VHS, Faces of Death. On to the story. The reboot of Faces of Death, directed by Daniel Goldhaber and written by Issa Mazzy, is getting early reactions, and they're exactly what you'd expect. Pretty much mixed, but they're leaning positive. The film stars Barbie Ferreira as Margot, a woman who discovers a site recreating the infamous death footage from the original series. She's like a content moderator that's very popular in films right now. Right now, though, the film Faces of Death remake is sitting at 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, with critics calling it terrifying, stark, and oppressive, a bold and sinister reimagining, a film that leaves you feeling unclean. And let's be honest, there's only about 4 outlets that were invited to that screening. So it's not a lot, but it's already pretty much mixed. Not everyone is sold, though. Some critics say it's trying to do too much, struggling under the weight of its own legacy. That's something that I worried about. And that honestly might be the most Faces of Death thing possible. Look, the film hits theaters April 10th this week. We'll be checking it out tomorrow, so look for our thoughts on the website soon. But my question for you guys, do you want horror that entertains you or horror that makes you feel uncomfortable? I like uncomfortable. Let me know what you guys think in the comments ahead. Gamer heads, if you're jumping into horror gaming, Fanatical has deals worth checking out. The 2K Publisher Sale is live right now. The Mystery Egg Easter Bundle is also still running. You can grab Resident Evil Requiem right now at 18% off, or go back pick up Resident Evil 3 at 91% off. Stack your library while the deals are there. Summer, spring deals, not summer, but spring deals going on all day long at Fanatical. Head over, let them know Horror Movies Uncut sent you. Now let's talk about something bigger, literally. Director Lee Cronin, coming off Evil Dead Rise, is bringing a new take on The Mummy, and it's going longer than expected. The runtime, 134 minutes. That makes it longer than the original Mummy, 125 minutes. The Mummy Returns, 130 minutes. The Mummy Remake, First Edition, 110 minutes. This version stars Jack Rayner, Leia Costa, and May Calamari, and follows a journalist's daughter who disappears only to return years later, changed, and not in a good way. Cronin has said this will be unlike any Mummy film before, leaning deeper into horror rather than adventure. Produced by Blumhouse Productions and Atomic Monster, this is clearly aiming for something darker, heavier, and more psychological. It hits theaters April 17th. And my question for you, does horror benefit from longer runtimes, or should it stay lean and relentless? Let us know your answers in the comments ahead. All right, today's take, we are watching horror today split into two lanes. One that pushes discomfort and meaning, and one that strips everything down to pure experience. And right now, both of them are working. What kind of horror hits harder for you? Psychological and uncomfortable? Fast, intense survival horror? Classic monster storytelling? Elevated, story-driven horror? Vote now on Spotify, and if you got something we should cover, DM us at HMUNCUT. All right, folks, follow us at HMUNCUT and follow me personally at Travis Nyquil with an extra L at the end for more daily horror updates. Head over to Horror Movies Uncut and check out the website. Support the show on Patreon. Just search Horror Movies Uncut. And as always, until tomorrow, we'll be back. More headlines, more updates, more drops. You know the drill. Until then, keep the lights on.